Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Melissa. I am the owner and artist here at the Top Drawer RVA located in Richmond, Virginia. And today's video is a little bit longer, but it is super informative. You are going to learn all about sanding and staining the top of this piece, as well as painting an ombre base on your project. This was a freebie dresser given to me by a friend who had previously painted it in Dixie Belle products. I am going to come in here and get rid of some of those brush strokes. We're going to strip and stain the top of this piece and clean it very well inside and out with white lightning. After stripping a little corner of the top of this piece, I realized the wood was in fairly good condition. I used my citrus strip to get in here and start to remove the layers of paint. Gonna lie, this is not my favorite part of furniture painting, but when I do it, I usually love the results, and I really want to get at the top of this piece with VooDoo Gel Stain, so this was a necessary part of the project. I like to put plastic wrap down onto my project over the citrus strip and wait approximately 45 minutes to 1 hour before I come in with a plastic spatula. I like to try and use a plastic spatula to make sure I don't scratch the wood that's underneath. This wood seems to be in fairly good condition, so let's see what happens. You might find also that using a heat gun on your citrus strip might help speed up the process as well. But for me, I've always found that this stripper is a little bit more weak in regards to some of the other ones I've tried, but it is less chemicals. And I am doing this inside my home in my home studio, which AKA used to be my dining room. So now that we have waited about an hour, I'm going to grab that little plastic spatula and see what we can get off the top. The top part of this project, which was just your basic chalk mineral paint, came off pretty darn easy. You can see me scraping it back fairly well. But underneath that paint was a primer, and that primer is super grippy, so that was the sticker for this piece. I needed to end up using 2 coats of citrus strip to scrape back that finish entirely. You might also find that depending on where you're located in the United States or parts of the world, certain kinds of stripper are not available due to their toxic base. But like I said, citrus strip is pretty low key, and it is available across your Home Depot or even your Walmarts. You can see the gloopy, gross mess of all of that paint. But believe it or not, the paint came off really easy peasy. Like I said, it was the primer underneath that took the extra round of stripper. Once that second round sat on there for about an hour, it did come off quite easily. So just be prepared if you are going to be stripping your furniture. Know that A, it's messy, and B, it's gross, and C, it might take 2 or 3 rounds to get it entirely off, especially if you don't know what's on your piece. So what's the next step after you have stripped off all of the stripper, but you're left with kind of that sticky, gross residue? Well, I used to use mineral spirits for the next part of the job, but I have found a hack for you, and it is non-toxic. So let me jump right in and show you what I did. First off, I use paper towels to come in and wipe the surface as much as possible, and then I grab my scrubby soap. I freaking love scrubby soap. It smells so good. I'm not gonna lie. I have one in pretty much every bathroom in my house and a couple in my workroom. Using a bucket of warm water and a scrubby soap, it just takes that residue right off. Believe me when I say this came super clean, and it even took off all of that excess paint that was still sitting there mixed in with the stripper in that corner. I've actually left this video pretty much in real time, other than this little sped up part where you can see me literally scraping off all of the junk and what was left behind. So now you know my scrubby soap hack, which I technically stole from Connie at Pfaff Designs. She is another one of Dixie Belle's brand ambassadors, and she did this last week, and when I saw it, I was like, oh, genius, I'm going to definitely try that idea. So after you have finished washing and getting rid of all of that disgusting residue, wipe it clean, let it get dry, and then pop in with your sander. My go-to sander is my Surf Prep machine. I'm going to link it in the description because, you guys, I do this inside my house and I don't need a mess. And this hooks right up to my shop vac in my space, so it is a dust-free process. This is also less hard on my old lady shoulders because I have a bum shoulder because I'm almost 50. But this sanding machine doesn't really shake and vibrate as much as some of the others. I just find it's really smooth and really easy to use. So I am a big Surf Prep fan.
Well, hello, Dixie Belle Paint fans. How are you today? It is Melissa from the Top Drawer RVA coming to you live because it is Wednesday and I'm live here every Wednesday to sit on the floor, get a little messy, and play with some paint. So welcome. Thank you for joining me today. If you're new watching me for the first time, say hi. Let me know where you're watching from. And if you're back to hang out and play with paint, welcome back. Welcome back. So we have a new project today, and this one is the reason that my arm hurts today because I spent pretty much my time yesterday stripping the top of this piece and then sanding it down to bare wood to get it ready for some VooDoo Gel Stain. So we have a couple of things that we can work on today, and I thought I would keep it fairly simple. So we're going to work on Woodubend today. We're going to talk a little bit about VooDoo Gel Stain today, and we're going to do a basic ombre blend because I get the most questions about basic ombre blends. I'm going to show you my hack to doing it the easy way. All right, cool. Let's jump in. All right, first of all, I do a lot of talking, not a lot of reading of the comments. So if you have a comment below that I happen to miss, it's okay. I'll come back in when I'm finished and rewatch and answer your question. I am one of Dixie Belle's brand ambassadors, which means my job is to be here to educate and show you all the things you can do with a little bit of paint and a little bit of creativity. So if you ever have a question, you can reach out to me. I am the same name across all social media channels, the Top Drawer, RVA, everywhere. All right, let's jump in. So what do we have? What do we have? We have something here that you very rarely see me do. Dun, dun, dun. No, not a dresser, but a painted dresser. If you are somebody who does furniture, and by saying does furniture, if you're somebody who paints furniture, flips furniture, sells furniture, just does it for the heck of it or because it's a lot of fun, you might know that purchasing anything that's already painted can sometimes be a very tricky option. Well, why, Melissa? Why would it be a tricky option? Well, because you never know what it's painted with, and when you don't know what it's painted with, sometimes you get stuck with a flaking finish, or you might get stuck with a really shiny finish. When we're using Dixie Belle's chalk mineral paint today, this is Zero VOC's water-based paint, okay? So this water-based paint will go on beautifully and cover very well, but there's going to be some proper prep involved with painting a piece that's already being painted. Now I'm going to let you in on a little secret. This might have been a free dresser, and technically I actually have two of them. This little free dresser was given to me by somebody that I know who actually painted this herself. And I know for a fact that she painted this project in Dixie Belle Paint. So if I were to normally purchase a dresser that has already been painted and I am unsure of the finish that's on my project, before I begin, I must always clean with White Lightning, rinse with spit that one out 10 times fast. Clean with White Lightning, rinse with water, and then assess the piece. Because if you have flaking, chipping, or a very shiny surface or something that was spray painted, you can't just go in and directly add your paint over top. Some proper prep would be essential, and that would be a product called Bonding Boss. My goodness, falling apart today. Bonding Boss is your gripping primer for anything slick or shiny or something that may have tannins, bleed through the wood. But since I know that the previous owner painted this with Dixie Belle's chalk mineral paint, I am a-okay to put my paint over top of this finish that's existing on here and know that it will stick well. All right? So that covers my bases before we begin. Knowing that this was previously painted by somebody that I know that used Dixie Belle's paint, It's not a scary thing. I don't need to use Bonding Boss. What I did was clean well with White Lightning, rinse with water, and then you can see the slight sanding here. Anywhere where there's any like lumps or bumps or anything that was chipping, which was just a little bit on the edges, I hit it with my sander to remove any finish that might come off easily. Now, on the top of this piece, dun, 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 I sanded and stripped the entire top of this project. And we're gonna have a little talk about this because I discovered a really neat trick. Do you know when you use a stripper, you scraped off all of that finish and it's really gross and sticky and yuck? Did you know that if you use scrubby soap, which number one smells like delish, I feel like this smell should be, I have one of these in my kitchen at all times. But if you use a scrubby soap and warm water, you can take off that horrible stripping residue that sometimes leaves that horrible sticky mess. Normally I would use mineral spirits, but I saw my friend Connie at Pfaff Designs do this trick and I totally copied her. So Connie at Pfaff Designs used her scrubby soap to remove that residue after the strip was on there, and I happen to use Citrus Strip. And it's very sticky. It's super gross. If you need to see what it looks like, you're welcome to head over to my IG stories and it will show you exactly, because it was yucko. But I used that scrubby to clean it up and then I sanded it down to bare wood. Now what is the plan for the top of the piece? That's going to be the wood conditioner and charred hickory, which is a beautiful rich brown. If you haven't seen the brand new VooDoo Gel Stains, last week I went over every single color, how to apply them, and exactly how they look here on the Dixie Belle Paint page. So you can go back to last week's video, which is also on YouTube, and check that out. So today's project will be work on the front of this dresser. What are we going to do? Well, dun, 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 you can see that there is keyholes. Non-functioning keyholes, okay? These are not real, they're faux. So my plan for these keyholes is to apply Woodubend moldings. Let's do that together right now and get started with our project. That was a lot of talking. Y'all, I talk a lot to begin with, but when I'm teaching, I teach and talk so much, so much. I always say there's a mute button. Feel free to use it, but you're always going to learn something when you hang out with me. So what are Woodubend moldings? So Woodubend Moldings is a fabulous company. I freaking love Woodubend Moldings. And you can find them under tools on the Dixie Belle Paint page. This is Woodubend number 990. Woodubend 990. These are tiny little faux keyholes. Can you see how cute those are? So these little faux keyholes are going to go right over top of the ones that are not functional and that have like a silver around them. And I don't think I want silver. So my plan is to cover them up with these little Woodubend keyholes and then paint right over top. So we're going to do that together today. So obviously I'm going to take out 3 little Woodubend keyholes. Come on, they're stuck in here. And we are going to put them onto this dresser. Now what do you need to apply a Woodubend molding? Well, it's very simple. You're going to need any type of wood glue. Just so happens this one is brand new, which means I've put the lid back on. That never happens. Never happens at my house. I actually have 2 of them I'm looking at right now that have no lids and paintbrushes stuck in because I'm terrible at shutting lids. So this is a nice brand new wood glue. Any kind of wood glue works, okay? And you're going to need a heat gun. Now why would you need a heat gun for this? Well, this is hard, right? This is rigid and flat. When you tap on it, it's not going to move. If you push on this, it will break. But when you heat up the back, it becomes bendable and malleable. So if I wanted to like bend this around the corner, I totally could. But we're going to put it on a flat surface today. And even though this is a flat surface, I'm still going to heat up the backing to make sure that it's completely flat to fit onto this piece. Sometimes when you're working with old antique projects, you never really know like if there's like a slight bend in the wood, or maybe you have like a serpentine style wood. Using a Woodubend molding that's heated up on the back is just like a helpful little hint to making sure it's going to fit that surface. So we're going to take this little Woodubend. I'm going to aim you down to the floor so you can see exactly what I'm doing. And we're going to heat them up with my heat gun. So on the floor I have my heat gun. I'm going to flip them over. And we're going to heat up the backing. You don't have to heat them up a lot because we're not really putting this over a bendy surface. But if I can get it nice and warm, I can show you exactly what I mean when it comes to taking your Woodubend from hard and rigid to bendy, bendy. So now what you're going to do is apply your wood glue. You don't need a ton, okay? And I actually tend to add too much, I'm not going to lie. It often happens that way. And what you're going to do is take your Woodubend with your glue on it and you're going to stick it wherever you want it. So I'm going to go right over top of my hole. Now, you can use your tape to hold it up because you don't want it to slide down. And this is the other reason that I put all 3 drawers in, so that I can exactly see how these little Woodubends are going to sit on my piece. Once I get my Woodubend on my project, I'm going to heat it up one more time. That's just going to ensure that it's nice and stuck to my project. So let me do the other 2 parts of the Woodubend so that I can make sure I get them lined up nice and even before we begin our little ombre blend lesson. Okay, so I've got my Woodubend molding right here, heated up on the back, stuck right onto my project. I don't even feel like this one needs tape. Like I feel like for some reason this one just stuck right on there real quick. I'm gonna blast it again with my heat gun. I usually use too much glue and then they're a little bit slippery. So in this position, I'm not really using too much, and I can see exactly how they line up and making sure they're nice and center. One more. I also have questions for you about this project with hardware, and we'll jump into that in a quick second. I need your advice. I need your opinion on what I should do for the hardware. Look, I closed my lid. I'm holding myself accountable, which is surprising. And I just put my finger right in the glue. Okay, so you're gonna take my last little Woodubend, stick her up here. And if you have excess, it's okay because you can actually get in there with your brush and wipe it off. You can wipe it off with a cloth. It's up to you. There's not a lot there, it's just a tiny little bit. Okay, let's make sure they're all straight, and then I'm gonna hit this with the heat gun and we're gonna make sure they're all the same. Okay, let me take this tape off. Take off that excess glue with my little fingernail. And I'm gonna just shut all 3 drawers. I wanna make sure that they're all lined up. I wanna make sure that they're nice and even. Now I have covered the little holes that were there, the non-existent keyhole, and I stuck them to the front of the piece. Triple check that they're nice and even, Steven, and we are ready to go. The darkness behind this one is throwing me off. There's a little bit of wood showing, but I know that they're even. I can see it's a straight line. They're all the way down. Okay, perfect. So now that my Woodubends are on here, you can go ahead and paint right over top of them whenever you're ready. There's no waiting around for this to happen. So let me show you what my question is about the hardware. So this hardware has obviously been spray painted in a silver. I don't like it. It's not that I don't like the hardware, I don't like the color. I just don't like this color. So when possible, I like to reuse hardware because number 1, it saves you money. Number 2, you don't have to go filling in holes and figuring out what you're gonna do. And I think that they just look like better with the piece. Like when you actually look at a period time piece, like I feel like having the original hardware just works best. There's a small tray that comes out on the top of this piece. Slides open, slides shut, and I'm going to have to paint that as well. It has one small knob that's easy to go on there. So, do I keep the original hardware and paint it a different color? Or do I just, I'm gonna have to, here's the plan. I have to keep the original hardware. Let me change my sentence. I have to keep this original hardware because we're painting today and I'm not gonna cover holes after I've painted. I also am not going to measure these holes and then go hunting for hardware that's gonna fit the holes because that is frustrating and expensive and nobody wants to do that. So my question to you is what color for the hardware? I guess it would help if I showed you the color of paint that we're painting today. Would that help? Let's do it. So I actually let my daughter pick the color of paint for today, and she wanted blue. So today's project is going to be painted in vintage duck egg, a classic, beautiful blue paint. This is chalk mineral paint. There are 0 VOCs, safe to use indoors around your pets. This can is a little bit old. I've had it open for a while, so it's a little chunky. So when I paint with Dixie Belle's chalk mineral paint, I like to use a smooth synthetic brush. I like to spray it with water. That enables me to thin out my paint a little bit. Let's work on one drawer right here in the middle so that you can see exactly how we're going to do a simple ombre blend. My trick to ombre blending is the Best Dang brush. The Best Dang brush is a natural fiber along with a little bit of synthetic fiber brush that when I use it, I go in small circular motions like this to rub 2 colors together, okay? This brush is not expensive. I have You can see how much I love this brush. Look how much paint is on it. I have one for wax and I have a couple for painting. Okay, they wash up really well, but they do hold a lot of paint in here. So I do recommend having a rag on the floor that after you swirl your colors together, you can get in here and wipe it off with the rag to remove all of that paint that's going to sit inside of your brush. So what color are we going to mix with Vintage Duck Egg today? We're going to be very neutral for me. Very neutral for me today, because normally I paint a rainbow on my projects. But today's project is going to be basic cotton, which is white, mixed with Vintage Duck Egg to create a nice soft blend. So no more talking. Let's get right in and show you how to do this. All right, so first of all, I'm going to take my Vintage Duck Egg and my dampened synthetic brush. I'm going to go right over this existing finish because, remember, I told you, I know that my friend who gave me these cabinets painted them in Dixie Belle's chalk mineral paint. Okay? And when you're painting chalk paint over chalk paint, you are fine. You are good to go. I don't need to come in here with my bonding boss. I don't need to do any extra prep work. I'm just painting one color over another. It's no different than if I painted this piece myself, took it to the store, it didn't sell, and I need to repaint it, right? So I'm going to take my Vintage Duck Egg and I'm going to paint this drawer. Why am I painting with the drawers in, you may ask? Because I swear every day somebody asks me that question. Right now I'm painting with the drawers in because you saw me add my Woodubend moldings. And when I added my Woodubend moldings, I wanted to make sure that they lined up directly, even, Steven. Because sometimes drawers are a little funky when you put them into your project, right? And they might not sit exactly even. So I'm going to paint this entire drawer with Vintage Duck Egg. Right over top of these little, there's like these little decor holes on here, if you want to call them that. They're like fake wormholes, to be honest. That's what they look like, but they're fake. They're just decor pieces on this wood. They're all over the piece. I know that they're strategically placed. And we're going to paint right over top of that Woodubend that we added to our project. By thinning my paint with water, I'm able to push it in and around the edges. Look how cute that Woodubend is now, covering up that keyhole. So cute. Okay, so now I have on my first coat of paint. Okay, I'm going to hit it with the air dryer because normally I would wait for this first coat to be dry before coming in on my second coat. So for today's video, we're speeding up the process so I can show you exactly how to achieve a very simple ombre blend. We're taking it back to the basics today. Okay. If this was real life, real time, obviously, you would have waited for your first coat to dry. I would have painted this entire project and then come back in for my second coat. Now, if you like, we're going to bring you in a little bit closer so that you can exactly see what I'm talking about when I talk about blending. I'm going to come in for my second coat. My second layer of paint is going to go down onto my project in the color pattern that I want to have my ombre blend. So I want an ombre blend that's lighter in the middle and darker around the edges. So for that, I need to put down my second coat of Vintage Duck Egg. Classy blue, she be a classy lady. Vintage Duck Egg is always classy. Now, I'm going to come in with a separate brush. This is the same brush, a little more well-loved than the first one, you can see it. And we're going to dampen this brush. And I'm going to add some cotton. Okay, so this is just a basic white. You could use cotton, you could use fluff, you could use whatever you like. Now you can really see those little decor holes that I was talking about that are in the front of this piece. Okay, so now here's my color pattern, right? My dark and my light. The most simple way that I can show anybody in the world how to do an ombre blend is by using this brush. Like I said, I think my most popular videos on YouTube and one of the most asked questions is how do I do a simple ombre blend? Well, let me show you. I've got my best dang brush. This is the trick. This is the tool to getting your magical blend. I'm going to hold this brush close to the bristles, okay? When I hold it close to the bristles, it gives me a lot more control. If I hold it back here, it's all over the place, right? Holding it down here close to the bristles is going to give me more control. My brush is damp, okay? You also have the option of slightly misting your area. We are going to circle these two colors together, okay? By using, of course the drawer is squeaky, squeaky drawer. By using small circular motions, I am just rubbing the two tones together. And the two tones are Vintage Duck Egg and Cotton. Like I said, you could use fluff. It's up to you. If your brush sheds a little bit, it's okay. You can easily pick off those little fibers after or during. These brushes always shed a little bit. What do you think of how fast and easy that simple ombre blend is? Let's do it on the other side. Wipe off my Best Dang. The Best Dang brush for blending is my Best Dang brush. It's literally my most favorite brush. Use it for everything. If you feel it start to drag, you can stop, wipe it again. You can spray your area or spray your brush. I tend to spray my brush, to be honest. It just seems to be a little bit more of an easier way to get that blend happening. You can see those tiny little fibers. Don't worry, they just come right off when your paint is dry. And that, my friends, is the best way, the simplest way that I can explain to you on how to do an ombre blend. And all ombre is just that little lightness, that little light area. I can see here that I'd like to add a little bit more white. So I'm just going to come in, deposit just a little bit more white right there. Spray my brush, spray the drawer, it's up to you. And again, small circular motions. It gives you more of a cloudy blend when you do small circular motions. If you go straight up and down or straight across, you might not get as much of a cloud. I like the cloudy. I like a soft blend. That, my friends, is as easy as you're gonna get for an ombre blend. It's just a little bit cloudy on the front. It's not too much blue, it's not too much white. What do you think of that soft blend? Just highlighting the drawers. It's really pretty and it's very, very easy when it comes down to using this brush and just a little bit of arm muscles, right? Let's do one more so we have you here. Move my stuff out of the way and work on this bottom drawer right here, okay? How are we doing? Can we see? Nice. All right, so we're gonna do the same thing that we did. We're gonna damp our brush and I'm going to cover the entire drawer in Vintage Duck Egg. If you feel like you need a little bit of water to get into those edges of your Woodubend molding, it's always helpful. Keep that water bottle handy. Make sure I'm getting in underneath this drawer edge. And just doing a light coat of the entire drawer. And we're going to blast it with my heat gun. Remember, because we want that first coat to be pretty solid, pretty dry, okay? This is one color. This is the ombre blend, just a little bit softer, just a little bit cloudier. Now that we have this paint on here, what are you thinking for hardware color? Would black be too hard to match with this charred hickory, which is a nice brown tone stain for the top, and this nice blue base? What color hardware would you choose for this piece? Should I actually do brown hardware? I haven't done brown hardware in a hot minute. I feel like I do a lot of gold. Barely ever do silver, but gold is usually my go-to. Or like a natural brass. But I do feel like the gel stain itself is quite charred hickory is quite, I'm going to show you in my hand just because I don't have anything else to put it on. It's quite brown, and when it dries, the brown is a little bit more of a soft brown. It's not a really dark brown. It's a nice soft brown match, and I love brown and blue. Brown and blue is super complementary color-wise, but this hardware, the color has got to go. I'm not a fan. What I'll end up doing is actually, I'm going to take a wire brush to it because it is chipping a little bit. The paint that's on here is just coming off a touch. So I'll take a wire brush to it to see if I can get any of the remaining finish off and then clean it again. But what color would you choose for this hardware? Somebody's saying bronze. That's actually a really good idea because bronze is close to brown too, right? I like that idea of bronze with that nice brown top and the blue base. I'll have to go to my favorite Hobby Lobby and see what we can find in the spray paint section. All right, so let's do my ombre blend for a second time around the edges of this piece so you can see how fast and how easily ombre blending is. So I'm just laying down my color pattern, remember, getting that paint where it's gonna live. And then I'm gonna come in with the white. Again, spraying it and just putting it down where it's gonna live. All right, now I'm gonna get my best dang brush. I'm gonna wipe it off because it's still holding, like when you want to wipe it off, it really holds a lot of pigment inside of the brush. Spraying my brush, and I'm gonna see if I can pull this drawer out a little bit because I have to hold it steady. Small circular motions. I might actually have to redo this drawer because I feel like I added a little more white when I was talking. Surprise. It also dries a little bit darker than you would expect. Oh, let's see if I can move this little desk over. And chalk mineral paint dries really fast, so keeping it that damp, wet brush really helps you get that ombre blend. Yeah, I'm gonna have to add more white to the drawer above this because this is a little bit more white than the other one. That's the other reason I paint with the drawers in, because it's hard to tell. When you take your drawers out, you lose a little bit of that direction in finding out what is the same. Okay, so see how dark that dried versus how light this dries? Let's dry this bottom drawer to make sure I'm not crazy. And then I'm gonna have to go back upwards and add just a bit more white to that blend. But you can see it. See how fast it dries? And see how dark it dries compared to what's above? It's actually not that much lighter. It's just a little bit lighter. We'll add a little bit more to that one up on the top. It's a pretty color combo, isn't it? I really like it. Okay, so let's go back up to this middle drawer and add that white back in. You can see my little fibers. Not a lot, just like a little bit. I just want to go a little bit lighter. I feel like I dumped a little bit more white on the middle drawer there. Let's go back in. That was about what we did, right? That was about what we did. Again, wiping off my brush. This is the jiggly drawer, isn't it? It's gonna make noise when I do this. That's better. Stop, wipe my brush off, spray my brush. When these drawers are shut, you see the edges, so I just want to make sure that I've got the top of these edges and the sides as well. This gives you an arm workout. This is like how I go to the gym. Paint and best dang brush. Oh, my arm is so tired today from doing all that sanding yesterday. Getting old is not for the weak. That is for sure. Okay, that's better. Now I have to carry on all the way. I swear my arm is like getting weaker and weaker. That's girl. Perfect. Okay, let's shut this. Now we can get both these drawers the same. That's better. That's a much better match. What happened was when I did the bottom one, I added more white than I did on the middle. So I just had to come back in and add them together. So see how dark this is? When this one dries, it's gonna get that dark as well. I'll show you. So what do you guys think of this pretty and classy color combination? A little bit of cotton, a little bit of vintage duck egg, and some really super cute little Woodubend moldings. I really like the idea of whoever suggested bronze. Bronze hardware might be the ticket because gold hardware might be too much, but a nice deep bronze, that would look pretty, especially with the stain on the top. Why don't we aim the camera up, and I'm gonna put a little stain on the wood so that you can see how it's gonna take. And we're gonna talk a little bit about wood conditioner, okay? So obviously the top of this piece has been sanded down to the edge. It's not perfect in these teeny tiny cracks, y'all, but guess what? I'm too tired to do any more sanding. I can't do it. I literally can't do it. I have a frozen shoulder. I turned 50 this year, and my arm's tired. So I will actually come in with the stain and just paint over top of those tiny little white bits that I couldn't get out on the edge. So what am I going to use the wood conditioner for? Well, let's talk a little bit about wood conditioner and what it does. This is a new product from Dixie Belle. You're not going to see this everywhere yet. It's this brand new, just released. What this is going to do is, I'm just going to grab the rag that's in my lap. It's going to condition this dry wood before you put an absorptive stain on here. Now, if I put the stain right here on this dry wood, right, the sanded back wood, what's going to happen is it will possibly absorb unevenly. Because VooDoo Gel Stain is a water-based product, it could absorb unevenly, and then what would happen is the wood stain is going to not go down as nicely as if the wood is already pre-treated, okay? So see how this darkened up a little bit from this section right here? This is, I see Allie, I just peeked up, she said, 50, you're a young chick. Bless you. You're my best friend today, Allie. I don't feel it. I feel old today from literally sanding the top of that piece. That's crazy, right? All right, back to business. You distracted me. That's why I don't read comments in my lives, because I'm so easily distracted. So you can see how light this wood is and how nice and fresh this wood is after I wipe in that wood conditioner. Wood conditioner is just going to give you more workable time, especially when you're using a water-based gel stain. You have to really shake this stuff up. This is a brand new color called Charred Hickory. I'm not going to stain this entire top on camera, but I will put a little bit of color right here so you can see what it looks like. Normally when I apply my VooDoo Gel Stain, I like to use an applicator pad. There's a set of 2 in here. I'm just going to put a little bit on my paper towel to show you what this color is going to look like, okay? And I'm only going to put it here where this is conditioned. So the conditioned wood just allows you to have a little bit more work time when wiping in your stain. This is a beautiful, almost like a chocolate milk stain. So pretty, super rich, and very new. You need to check with your local retailers because I actually don't even think it's available yet online. I believe it's February 3rd. So can you see how pretty that color is with the blue? I mean, hello. Look at that stain color with that blue paint. That's going to be super, super rich and super nice. So now that you've seen the stain color, my choice of stain color, you have to let me know what you think about the hardware. I am agreeing with whoever suggested bronze. Thank you for that. Because I think bronze is a color I haven't done in a while. It'll be nice with this rich brown. Look at how pretty that color is. Oh my gosh, it's so chocolatey. So stay tuned. I should have this project done probably by the weekend. For all of these little white sections that I can't get in here with, I'm gonna literally take a paintbrush and just paint them darker. You're not going to see, unless you're like me sitting on the floor looking up from up or above, you're not going to see those little marks. So rich chocolate VooDoo Gel Stain in a brand new color called Charred Hickory. We have Woodubend moldings. The Woodubend moldings I use today are a set of Woodubend keyholes, Woodubend 990. You can find them under tools on the Dixie Belle Paint page. The colors I use today are vintage duck egg mixed in with a little bit of cotton, and that is a beautiful bright white, combined with my best dang brush to give me a really pretty ombre finish that's going to go very well with that nice stained neutral top, which I spent all day yesterday stripping and sanding the top of that piece. It took me forever. It made me remember why I don't like to do it, because it took so long. It's so long. And FYI, my hack, don't forget my hack. After you have finished getting all of your stripping material off, I use Citrus Strip. I came in with my scrubby, and I used a warm bucket, and I used the scrubby soap to remove my residue from my top, because it was so gross. There's nothing grosser than that stuff you're scraping off the top of your piece. So that's my color plan for this project. What do you think? Super cute, right? Super cute. I hope that you learned something today when it comes to doing an ombre blend with two simple colors in your best dang brush, and how fast it is to cover those keyholes where I had those damages, and they're not functional, it's just decorative keyholes. I think it's going to look really cute. I think when I open up this sliding tray, I'm going to paint it and add transfers to the top, so that when you open up your sliding tray, you get to see like a little surprise. So cute. Thanks for joining me today. I had a lot of fun. I got some arm workout in, and somebody called me young. So I say then that's it. I should quit for the rest of the day. That's a win-win. Thank you, Allie, for being so sweet. Thanks again, guys, for coming in to hang out with me and play with paint. My name is Melissa, owner and artist here at the Top Drawer RVA, live every Wednesday here on the Dixie Belle Paint page. And I'm always a busy little bee creating videos and tutorials and all the things that you might want to learn about Dixie Belle Paint products. Thank you very much, friends. Stay tuned. When I finish this piece, I will make a YouTube for you if you need the entire thing. And I will see you again next week. Bye-bye.
So now that you've had your in-depth tutorial on how to get a basic ombre blend, I am just going to paint the rest of this piece, including the top drawer that you didn't see me do, in the same way that I showed you in the long format video. Next up is staining the top of that wood that took me forever to strip. So the plan is to condition the wood first. This is a brand new product from Dixie Belle, this wood conditioner. It's only available in the 4-ounce size, but it works really, really well. You just rub it into your dry wood surface, and what it's going to do is give you more extended work time when you actually apply your stain. And the stain I'm going to be using today is a water-based stain called Charred Hickory. It's one of Dixie Belle's newest colors. I love this color. They came out with 4 brand new boho shades, and this color right here is the bomb. I really do love it. So what is VooDoo Gel Stain versus regular no paint gel stain? This, like I said, is a water-based product, so it goes on a little bit differently. It's meant to soak in the wood versus your no paint gel stain sitting on top of the surface. And since I use that wood conditioner, it extends my time to apply it, and I can get it on nice and even. This is also a buildable product. You can actually build this up and get the exact color you're going for. This is just one even coat of VooDoo Gel Stain. It's your choice on how you want to seal your gel stain. So I like a satiny finish, and that's what I use for the top of this piece. I also changed the hardware to a burnished bronze, which for that I use gilding wax, and I used hemp oil to seal the base of my work. The gilding wax is oil-based, so it's rock solid and hard on that hardware for an update. And the hemp oil is non-toxic, has 0 smell, and just wipes over top of that finish, giving you a beautiful sheen, and it really protects your work. What do you think of the stain color on the top of this piece? I think it is super modern, super fun, and I'm totally digging the new VooDoo Gel Stain colors.